You're tuned to GNN, the Global News Network, a division of Towtown Communications Company Limited. Towtown presents Japan Journal. Japan Journal with Mal Adams, the Internet's #1 English language weekly online cybercast from Japan. And now your host, Mal Adams.
Hello and welcome to Japan Journal. I'm your host, Mal Adams, reporting. Today we embark on a journey through the intricate tapestry of history, exploring the roots of Zionism and its impact on the decades-long conflict between Israel and the Palestinians. Join us as we delve into the nuanced relationship between Zionism and Judaism, shedding light on the historical events that shaped the region. But first, these headlines. U.S. President Joe Biden said Monday he believes the deal to free hostages in Gaza is close, as hopes grew for a Qatari-brokered accord to release some captives in exchange for a pause in fighting. I believe so, Biden, who was taking part in a Thanksgiving turkey pardoning ceremony at the White House, said when asked whether a hostage deal was near. Biden then crossed his fingers to signal he hoped for good luck. Israeli tanks reported near hospital in embattled northern Gaza. The Indonesian hospital already has ceased operations, but Health Ministry spokesman Ashraf Al-Qidra said there were about 700 people, including medical teams and wounded, inside the facility. Now, here are some highlights over the past 24 hours. At least 8 people killed following direct Israeli strikes on northern Gaza's Indonesian hospital. Munir El-Borsh, the Gaza Health Ministry director, has dismissed Israel's claim that it had found a Hamas tunnel at the Al-Shifa hospital, describing it as, quote, a pure lie. Israel has continued its deadly strikes on Gaza, targeting several areas in the enclave, including the vicinity of the Indonesian hospital. More than 13,000 people have now been reportedly killed since the bombardment began on October 7th. In Israel, the official death toll in Hamas's attacks stand at about 1,200. The Committee to Protect Journalists has said 48 journalists and media workers have been killed since the start of the conflict. 43 of those killed were Palestinians, 4 were Israelis, and 1 was Lebanese. Yemen's Houthi rebels have seized an Israeli-linked cargo ship in the Red Sea and taken 24 crew members hostage, raising fears of a wider escalation. The World Health Organization has said it evacuated 31 prematurely born babies from Al-Shifa Hospital to the European and Nasser hospitals in the south of Gaza. More than 200 patients are still stuck at the hospital. Now, understanding Zionism. To comprehend the conflict in the Middle East, we must first distinguish between Zionism and Judaism. While often used interchangeably, these terms carry distinct meanings. Judaism is a millennia-old monotheistic faith, while Zionism is a political and ideological movement founded in the late 19th century. Now, a timeline of the key events. Zionism emerged in response to the growing anti-Semitism in Europe, particularly in the late 1800s. The movement sought to establish a homeland for the Jewish people, envisioning a return to their ancient homeland in the region then known as Palestine. The Balfour Declaration. The turning point in the Zionist movement came with the Balfour Declaration of 1917. Issued by the British government. It expressed support for the establishment of a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine. The Balfour Declaration was not only a geopolitical move, but also intertwined with the financial interests of powerful figures, notably the Rothschild family. Lord Lionel Walter Rothschild played a significant role in negotiating this pivotal agreement. And so what is the impact on the indigenous people? While the Balfour Declaration fulfilled Zionist aspirations, it had profound consequences for the indigenous population of Palestine. The land, which had been home to diverse communities for centuries, now forced a paradigm shift. The creation of the State of Israel in 1948 marked the fulfillment of Zionist aspirations, but it also led to the displacement of hundreds of thousands of Palestinians, igniting a conflict that persists to this day. It's crucial to recognize that not all Jews supported the Zionist movement. European Ashkenazi Jews, often associated with the banking elite, played a prominent role in the early Zionist movement. However, many Jews worldwide, including Mizrahi and Sephardic communities, had diverse perspectives. The conflation of Jewish identity with political Zionism has led to misconceptions about the homogeneity of Jewish views on the establishment of Israel. And so, as we reflect on the history of Zionism and its impact, it is essential to approach this complex narrative with nuances. The ongoing conflict in the region remains rooted in a web of historical events, ideologies, and geopolitical interests. Join us next time on Japan Journal as we continue to explore the diverse stories shaping our world. Thank you very much for watching. And we leave you now with this final reminder. Why do we speak up? Because genocide is not just about a population, it's an attack against humanity itself. The world's biggest tragedies are made by the hands of powerful people, but powerful people oppress through the silence of ordinary people. Stop the genocide and free Palestine. Thank you, and good day.
And now here is an editorial commentary by the late Kwame Ture on Zionism and imperialism.
That great man, V.I. Lenin, at the turn of the century, wrote a book entitled Imperialism, the highest stage of capitalism. Is it? Imperialism, the highest stage of capitalism? Yes. If one would read this little pamphlet, one would see here that Mr. Lenin had precisely pointed out that all of the world had already been conquered and divided by colonial powers. There was no else in the world left to be conquered or divided by colonial powers. This is the time when Zionism comes to rise. Zionism comes to look for a state when everywhere else in the world is already dominated. Thus, in order for Mr. Herzl to get a country for Zionists, what he did was to attach himself to imperialism, British imperialism in this case, quite specifically. Of course, as an African who suffered under the heels of British imperialism, I can have no love for it, and certainly I cannot love anyone who attaches themselves to it for the foundation of a state and then call this a liberation movement. Liberation movements fight against imperialism, not with it. Clearly here. Yes. The legal foundation of the State of Israel is what is known as the Balfour Declaration. This declaration was issued in 1917. A man in the government of Britain named Balfour wrote a paper and promised the Jews a national home. The national home he promised them was an area which Britain was colonizing, Palestine. Palestine didn't belong to the British, just like Ireland doesn't belong to the British, even though they have troops there. But here, these British imperialists signed a note and gave it to the Jews, and they accepted it. Where is the morality for this? If you say that Israel belongs to you, then you don't go to a thief to get Israel, you go and take it. Once you go to an immoral being such as British imperialism, and this is the basis for you getting the land, then clearly here those who are truly liberation fighters must question this. The basis, we say, is the Balfour Declaration, and Zionists know it. The Zionism is certainly not a liberation movement because it never fought against any imperialism. As a matter of fact, today, Zionism is the baby, child, and infant protector of imperialism in the Middle East. It carries out the interests of American imperialism. As a matter of fact, Zionism and American imperialism is like this. If our tax dollars would stop giving money to Israel, the state would sink tomorrow. And certainly no one can deny that American imperialism is the leading imperialist nation in the world. So we cannot see how a liberation movement is so tied, string and ham to American imperialism. They work hand in hand with American imperialism. Thus they can hardly be a liberation movement. In addition to this, Zionism has nothing to do with anything religion, nothing. All religions are concerned with human beings after they die. That's what religions are for. Islam will tell you what happens to you when you die. As a matter of fact, this which forces you to live a good life so that after death you'll be able to enjoy the rewards of heaven. The same is true for Judaism. But Zionism says nothing about the individual after they're dead. They don't give a damn about you. Thus, Zionism has nothing to do with religion at all. And one should not make the confusion here. The Palestinian state belongs to the Palestinian people. This is a fact.
From GNN, the Global News Network, a division of Totown Communications Company Japan. Japan Journal. With Mal Adams. A Black Buddha Productions joint of Japan.